Hello boaters, welcome to Narrowboat Journeys. My name's Phil and I've lived aboard my narrowboat for nearly 30 years now. Most of that time as a continuous cruiser. I have two cats, Bushka and Midge, and I'm currently on the Llangollen Canal heading towards Wales. So this trip is starting near Bridge 4, which is close to the settlement called Burland, and then I'm going to go through Burland, through the two Swanley locks, and then on to Baddeley locks, which are 3 locks, and then I'll moor up at the top of those. Now I did this over 2 days, so it's 2 trips joined together in this video. So without further ado, let's go boating. These are lovely visitor moorings between bridges 4 and 5. Really quiet and peaceful, at least most of the time. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a problem with some dogs this morning chasing the cats, so I decided it would be a good idea to move on. This busy road up ahead marks the settlement of Burland. According to my guidebook, there was a shop and a garage here once upon a time, but that's all closed down now. There's nothing here for the boater, but we do have a winding hole if you want to turn around. You don't get to see much of Burland from the canal, just the back of a few people's gardens really. There's some seriously overhanging trees here, quite pretty, and it's okay if you're just the only boat moving, but if you meet other boats coming then they can cause some real problems. Over to the right there is Swanley Marina. Now, I don't think this was here last time I came through, which was 20 years ago. It's not in my guidebook, it's not on my Ordnance Survey maps, so I'm not sure when it was built. Anyway, if you want to stop for diesel or pump outs or things like that, you moor up where that boat is here. So it's quite easy. Some marinas you have to actually drive into the marina to access services, but on this one it's on the main canal line, so very useful. There's the diesel pumplet. I didn't stop there myself, but that would be quite a handy place to get to. Now I have to say that these were some of the most stupid ducks I've ever encountered on the canals. Normally they'll just let you drift by, but no, these decided to go into panic mode and followed me along the canal for about at least 100 metres. All they had to do was either fly ahead of the boat or let me go past, but no, they decided to just keep panicking along the side like that. I've never seen ducks quite do it that way before, for quite so long. They were never in any danger of me crushing them, but there is a lock approaching, so I will have to pull over to the towpath quite soon. But eventually they decided to work it out and give up. There they are. This is Swanley number 2 lock up ahead. Now one thing you do have to be careful of with these locks is sometimes the weirs are very fierce and the flow of water will push your boat sideways and you could easily bash into the bank. Every lock is a bit different on this canal, so just because one does that doesn't mean to say that the next one will. So you just have to play it careful and just do your best, really. Sometimes bumping into the lock is unavoidable. The important thing is not to do it too hard. Well, that's the first Swanley lock done. The next one is a little bit further ahead. And there's the other Swanley lock on the other side of the bridge. The weir around this lock was not quite so fierce as the first one. This lock gate was quite leaky, so I decided to keep the boat back away from the top gate on this one. This was recorded on the 17th of July. The summer holiday season hasn't quite begun yet, so the canal's not too busy, at least not at this end. The closer you get to Llangollen, the busier it gets. There was a tent on the other side of Bridge 11. At first I thought it might have been a fisherman, but he was still there when I came back in October. It's an elderly gentleman. He seems to be living there. Anyway, this was quite a lovely place to moor up, so I decided to stop here and carry on again the next morning. And it was even a bit sunny. It was early morning, and of course there was a queue for the lock. 3 locks ahead, the Baddeley lock flight. I decided to moor up here for half an hour, have a cup of tea and wait for all these boats to move on. At least the weir wasn't too fierce with this lock. You can never be totally sure. All 3 of the Baddiley locks are quite close together, but you can moor up in between them if you want. Just don't moor on the lock landings. Well, that's the first one out of the way. On to the next one. As you'll see, the weir on lock number 2 is very fierce, so go careful with this one. That duck is finding it pretty easy though. Now, I had problems filling lock number 2 here. The lower gates were leaking so badly that the water coming in wasn't filling the lock up very quickly, and it took quite a long time to fill. I had to get the gate partially open before I could lower the paddles on the other side, otherwise the water would have just escaped and I wouldn't have been able to open the gate at all. Anyway, got there in the end. On to the next one. This is the Baddiley top lock. The weir's not too fierce here. Now the visitor moorings start where that more distant boat is up ahead, and that's where I'm going to plan to stop for a day or two. From here it's only about 2 or 3 miles to Nantwich, so I could cycle there and do the shopping I need for food. It is a bit overgrown and narrow here though, so you've got to pick your mooring place quite carefully. And this, I think, will do. Time to let the cats out now, and I'd like to thank you all for watching, so stay tuned. In the next video we'll be going through Wrenbury and on to Marbury. So until then, I'll see you next time.